What a privilege it is to be here today. And what a sight you all have to see. I mean, it's been a while, hasn't it? Yeah. I mean, I think we need to celebrate that. I mean, I haven't seen, I mean, I've gotten older, I'm feeling older, but it is so good to see your faces. I just want to say that. You know, I mean, I'm tired of Zoom. So, I mean, Zoom's good, but this is great. And I think that's a little bit about what I want to talk about, is this mesh of old and new. I mean, we have old in the title of our trail, the Old Spanish Trail. It wasn't originally called that. In fact, there's kind of a lot of discussion in this group about how that came about. It's quite fascinating. But as we move forward through the old, what we've been discussing, and the new, I find it interesting what we spend our time on. We spend a lot of time talking about the old, and we celebrate that, as we should. But the reality is that this trail has so much potential moving forward to become something incredible, and you're all here to do that. And so that's what I want to talk about. What are the potential opportunities, and what are we doing to make this trail relevant, not in legislation, or not on a piece of paper, or not in a book, but on the ground. Turn it into something we can use, something that we can celebrate, not with our mouths, but with our feet, with our tires and our bikes and our cars and our whatever it is we use to move across the landscape. And so the opportunities are incredible as we move forward. And even sometimes our approaches are rooted in some old-fashioned things. Now, obviously, I mean, the horse is one of the finest forms of transportation that God ever created, along with a bicycle and our feet. But, you know, we don't all have horses. We want to traverse this trail in some form of way. And we need help to do it.
Hey, Rob, introduce yourself and the important role that you play.
Oh, okay. I'm Rob Sweeten, and I am the Bureau of Land Management's co-administrator for the Old Spanish National Historic Trail. And that in and of itself is a unique thing. There's only 2 trails that do that. And Carol and I work together between our 2 agencies to fulfill the administrative responsibilities that the Secretary requires for this trail, that the Act requires. So that is what I do. I'm in Salt Lake, in the Utah BLM State Office. I work with wonderful interns. I brought 2 of them, Riley Evans and Megan Pettit, and a lot of the work that I do, you know, is just completely, absolutely magnified by them in the Park Service and partnership. So that's what I do. So I mention this because as we have completed all the things that we talked about, the legislation, the plans, we are fortunate that we do have a plan. It's a bit of a mishmash, and it was quite a process to try to get that comprehensive administrative strategy completed. And it's still an ongoing effort. But we augmented that with recreation development strategies and design plans, and we plan and we plan and we plan. And we talk about all these things, but someone's got to go out and stick something in the ground somewhere. Someone's got to go out and try to make this a trail that we can use, like I mentioned. So one of our key efforts that we first started with, and you've all been involved in many cases, was road signs. We're going to stick road signs along the road. Still a very valid thing to do. And oh my goodness, as Carol can attest to, and Jill, I mean, just try to get something passed through a Department of Transportation. Just try to put a sign up on the road. I mean, I don't know how many trees we kill, how much paper and time, and money and investment we put into putting up that sign. As valid as it is. But that's a process that's been around forever. Pile up some rocks, build a sign. I mean, this isn't old technology. Very old. So we advanced that technology to paint. we're gonna put a stencil on a trail. We're gonna identify an area. We're gonna do something different. We get creative. And these are all good things to mark the trail and turn it into something usable. We identify it with silhouettes. We might not be able to walk on that, but while people drive past it, they'll know there's a trail. All of these are great efforts. And all of these things are combined to make a final product. But ultimately, what we're trying to do is get people out on the trail and get that section of trail named as something that can be done. Something that can be done. And so, what we start with first is we have to have these sites on the ground. And the National Park Service and the Bureau, the National Park Service is taking the lead on a QR code and a website and an app called the Places to Go. And this is, we've identified all of these awesome different individual locations and sites and even some trail activities that you can go and do. And we're linking that through a QR code, through technology. The big thing that's changing, and my presenter is my prop. There, hold it up, girl. Is our phones. It's even got a sticker on the back for the Old Spanish Trail. Most, if not almost all of us, have a phone in our pocket. And it's an opportunity to take the trail and help us guide and direct where to go. But first, we need to know where to go. We need to know where to go. We need to have something on the ground here to help, and even for those people who don't have phones, so they can read about that information. So we take the plan here on the left and we convert that into an on-the-ground source or site. But here's another location. We're also working on the accessibility side of things. What a wonderful opportunity we have now. We've already heard Ashley yell out, hey, I can't hear you. We all have these various different things as we get older that we struggle with. We might not be able to get to every location along the trail, but we still want to see it, we want to visualize it, we want to learn about it. Some people might not be able to see it, so we convert things into the 508 compliance. We record all these things. This technology gives us fantastic opportunities to expand the trail, to record what people are seeing and looking at. We work with these sites and the certified sites to help disseminate that information, non-federal partners and others to help get this information out. And this leads me to my final slide, and I'm really teasing everything. What's on my second to last slide is we've developed an amazing app now, complemented with the Places to Go app that will allow you to go out on the trail and experience the trail. We don't need to go out with a Pulaski. We don't need to go out with a Skidler or Create Trail. We can GPS the original route. We can make it a line that you can then go out with your phone and follow. And if there's a section of trace, if there's an insignia, if there's a significant location, I'll give you this example. We've got tons of them, but if you come to a fork in the road and we have to have a discussion, which way would you go? The top of the Hurricane Cliffs. Would you have gone down in the water or up to Stinking Springs? We can insert a little dot there. Well, you're going to tell me which way you went, right?
No, I'll tell you tomorrow afternoon.
What?
A question.
Yeah.
The fourth bullet there, maps can be downloaded and used offline. Do you have the official route? Is that basically what shows up?
Yes.
Okay.
And in many cases, even the heritage route. So you will walk right on the trace. So what I'm going to do here.
Over here, Rob.
I know this is hard to see, but we're going to, later this afternoon, I'm going to take you all through this app. And we are going to go on a little mock vacation to Green River Gap. And so the opportunity exists for you to come to a location, click on something, have some interpretive information disseminated to you, some historic information disseminated to you, some safety considerations, given to you some trip planning considerations in conjunction with the Park Services Place to Go app, pictures, and opportunities to experience and be guided along the trail, and its associated historic structures and resources. And so we're super excited about this. This is where we're going. All that work for the legislation was fantastic. The feasibility studies, 20 years of work to finally get this trail to be something we can use on the ground. Not that it hasn't been, but it's been a challenge. And so we've had to do all the studies. We've had to find these things. I'll say one last thing. When we conducted the BLM spent $1.2 million on a survey back in 2011 through 2013. And I remember we were surveying across the Cisco Desert in Utah, many portions of the trail. Sarah Schwanger, my predecessor in BLM, put that contract together. And I remember them thinking, oh, I'm not going to find anything out there. What are we going to find out there in all that clay? Well, we found a lot. And then I often hear that the Old Spanish Trail doesn't have a whole lot that we can show and tell. There's a lot to show and tell. And I hope you'll have a chance to see that later this afternoon. So, it's no longer called the Old Spanish Trail Explorer app. It's called the Old Spanish National Historic Trail app. And that's because the platform that we're using in GIS changed from Explorer to Field Maps. But what I'm going to ask each of you to do in your break, all right, before we start the panel, is we've set up 2 posters out in the hall. One's Green River Gap East, one's Green River Gap West. We're going to pretend like you're at one of those trailheads on either side of the trail. I'd like you to take your phone and scan both the QR codes on the bottom of those signs before this afternoon's presentation, so that you have this app downloaded. And then we're all going to run over the chair.